Pricing your graphic design services is confusing. Believe me, I know. I charged $75 for my first logo design, and now, to date, my biggest branding project is $15,000. That's a really big difference. And design industry pricing is all over the place. So today, I'm going to share a free pricing guide for designers, break down exactly how it works and what things you should be looking at when pricing your design services. This pricing guide is linked in the description, but before you go and download it, let me explain how it works because this is not a plug and play design formula. This guide was created by myself and my co-founder behind The Brief Collective. As design coaches, we're fully aware that every designer and every client project is different. So we set up this guide to accommodate those things. Here are the 6 different categories we looked at when creating this guide: software, process and client experience, strategy, deliverables, expenses, and value-based pricing. Now let's dive into each one of these categories a little bit more. Part 1 in the pricing guide refers to base pricing. This is essentially the minimum you should be charging no matter what. And we broke this section down into 4 different categories that were just listed. Starting with software. Are you creating original vector artwork in Adobe Illustrator, or are you relying on clip art and relying on things like Canva? That's a really important factor to consider when creating design work. Next, we looked at process and experience. Now, when I say experience, I am not talking about your years of experience. I am talking about the client experience. What happens when a client inquires with you? What is the client experience like? Are you going back and forth through email and everything is unorganized? Or do you have a project management system? Do you have a workflow set up to give clients a 5-star experience? Moving on to strategy. Are you acting as a pixel pusher, or are you implementing strategy and using your branding knowledge to create something that's going to get your client results? And lastly, for the base pricing portion of this guide, we looked at deliverables. What are you handing over to the client? Is it just a single logo design? Is it a brand identity? Is it a brand identity backed by strategy? All of these things together should help determine your base pricing as a designer. Now, part 2 of the guide is where we touch on value-based pricing and do highlight the fact that you should also take into account your expenses. In short, value-based pricing is charging a client based on the expected ROI, return on investment, they might expect to see from investing in your design services. Every single client's ROI is going to be different based on their current revenue and company size. This is something we feel is very important and something that we actively use as designers in our own business to quote projects, because we don't believe that a multi-million-dollar company should be charged the same way a small mom and pop shop would be charged, because the potential results and ROI of their investment in your services is going to be completely different. And we have a more specific example broken down in this designer pricing guide for you to reference. Overall, this guide will allow you to look at a bunch of different variables and the client that you're working with, then determine what's a good base price point for yourself and price points for future client projects. If I had this guide when I first started my design business, I wouldn't have undercharged myself so many times. The only thing I ask you to do is to please share this video and share the link to download our pricing guide with other designers so that we can help more designers raise their prices and make a sustainable living. Let me know in the comments if this video was helpful and what other videos you'd like to see from me in the future. I hope you subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.